Okay, I'm on top of the Timbco. I just wanted to show you there was a leak in here. It's coming off of these return filters, so I'm going to take it all apart and replace it. So the oil that you see later in this video was coming from, there's some seals in here, and then there's some canisters down there that go down in here where your filters fit, and those seals were leaking, so I'm replacing all of those to that should fix that leak. But all this was real wet up here, so, and that was dripping down below. You'll see later in the video, but just wanted to show you that I am fixing it, and it is fixed. Okay, it's recording. Okay, here she is. We got done fixing the leak up high. There's the engine compartment. Those red hoses are what we call spit swappers for hooking up to your truck if it's real cold, to heat the engine up. I haven't used them on this machine. If it gets real cold, generally we don't work too much, because you don't want to be out changing a hydraulic hose when it's real cold. But yeah, so we way up there, I'll show you in a minute, we fixed the return filter seals and all that. We replaced all those. I think I talked to you about those, but we did go ahead and replace that. Leveling, cylinders are in good shape, they don't leak. Those hoses, I mean, they're probably a little damp, but they don't really leak. Everything, the grease fittings all work on it. All the grease fittings are good. This wet that you're seeing in here and stuff, is part of that's from that leak that I told you we fixed, and some of it's from us doing all that work and pulling all those filters out, and we dripped oil on it. You see there is oil on the tracks, but all that is from us working on it today. Pop that trunk open, please. There's the valve back in there. Okay. Now what happened?
This can just turn off to stop it.
Okay. So there's an air. It's a little wet in there. Again, that's from us changing the seals on the filter today. In that leak where it drips down, it runs down this trunk, and then it runs into here. There's extra hoses for your head and I believe your track system, in case you ever bust one out in the woods. When I got this machine, there was about a foot of dirt in here. It could be cleaned again, but it is a lot cleaner than what it was when I got it. I pressure washed this about 5 times, I think. And then there's grease fittings here, grease fittings there. I pulled the ones that don't go anywhere where the hose is broken, and there's a Zerk fitting in that individual spot. Like these would have a hose that come up to them from the factory, but obviously it's been busted off. So we just put a, or I didn't, but it just has an individual Zerk fitting instead of the hose. The tracks are double grousers with ice cleats. There's your undercarriage. I think the rails were pretty new when I bought it. The guy said he replaced them. So you're probably 50% or better on the undercarriage is my guess. All these rollers have a little Allen head fitting in there. You can pop that out and put oil in those. I did do that here last year. Popped all those out, tried to drain them out, you know, put one track downhill, drained them out, and then put 30 weight oil in them. You know, fill them back up as best you could. The fuel tank, we've drained the fuel tank and cleaned it out. You know, there's a screen in there that got clogged on me, and I guess just from being 20 some years old, it had, you know, I don't know what you call it. There's like a rubber sealant they use in there on those welds, and that was coming apart and clogging the filter up. So we drained the fuel tank, cleaned it, vacuumed it all out. Real good. It's in good shape. Open that door there, would you please? Open the pump door here. Okay, those are the three. These are your three pumps. This one on top is your implement pump and charge pump. The bottom two are your track pumps, right and left track. This spring I had a problem with this valve down in here that we replaced. It wouldn't let the right track, it got stuck going all the way on all the time full forward, and then it would only go about halfway on after we messed around with it, and I ended up having to get a new, it's this piece here, a new solenoid from a local hydraulic shop. And this is where you can see up in here where it was leaking. That's from us today. Like I said, we replaced all the seals on top. I did take a picture. I'll send that in the email of us working on that. So all that should be stopped. This is your hydraulic fill. This is a hose that you put in your 5-gallon bucket or hydraulic bucket, and then this button here turns on a pump, which is on the other side of the machine, on the other side of the engine, and that fills up your sucks the oil up into the hydraulic tank. Okay, you want to close that up for me? And then go ahead and close that up. It does have a little screen. It's not focusing. A little screen in the radiator. That way keeps your radiator clean. You just got to knock that out every so often. This hydraulic cylinder, main boom cylinder, was rebuilt. We did that, I believe it was this summer. We did put this sensor in here. We just replaced that as well. That's your low oil alarm in the cab, and it was going bad. I kept the old one. I'm going to send the old one with the machine. You can find these aftermarket for a lot more reasonable than you can buy them from Valmet or Komatsu. You can see that rubber gasket in there is one of the ones we replaced, and there's a square O-ring under that, and there's an O-ring in here. We replaced all of those on all three of these. There's three hydraulic filters there. I also replaced every single flat-faced O-ring up here because it was seeping out of these ones over here on this side over there. All those have been replaced. All these have been replaced. So you shouldn't have any problems with any leaks on that thing, I hope. Okay, this is just a toolbox here. There's a box in there that's got parts in it for the head, you know, stuff especially for the head. I used to keep a big set of wrenches in there to change hoses. You'll need wrenches up to about 1 5/8 inches, 1 3/4 for changing hoses on the head. Going into the cab here, all this, I redid all this. Was that last summer? I think that was last summer. This insulation's all brand new. Back there, it's all brand new. up all the way under there. I took all that apart and pulled all that out and used acetone and wiped down the entire cab and then put new insulation in it. This box is a new used box. That's actually a GM Chevy fuse box is what that is. I bought a new one. I rewired this entire thing. The old owner the old one had shorted out, and the previous owner kind of had things, you know how people do. They just bypass stuff and put things in there, but everything's back to factory as far as I know. Replaced both joysticks in the cab. Those are not the joystick, but the actual hydraulic valving piece here underneath the joystick. Those are $1,400 a piece. Both foot pedals are new because the old ones were leaking too. I don't remember how much those are. I've got the old ones of both of those if somebody wanted to rebuild them. Why is this not okay? All right, this box here just has miscellaneous parts for the head in it, so you want to keep that. I replaced all of these things here on the head. Those are, I don't remember what they call them, but I replaced all of those on the head because the old electrical stuff was getting brittle. Being in hydraulic oil in the environment, it was just the old stuff was just getting brittle. So I keep that back behind the seat. This here is the best thing for your bar oiler on the saw. I'll show you that in a minute. I keep them in the cab, and you just have to cut it to length. Fix this up. You know, that's basically, I went through and I cleaned all this up. Redid some of the wires and connections. Not that I was having much trouble or any trouble with them. I just like things to be nice and right. This here is your computer, your boards. That's called the MCI board. This is called, I don't know what board this is. This is another one that's in the book. I did clean up these wires a little bit. Haven't really done much in here. Kind of mounted that up on here. That was laying around down here in the cab floor. So I just kind of cleaned things up. This is your solenoids. This box is the solenoids for the cab leveling. Just information trying to speed up whoever buys this, speed up their learning curve as opposed to my learning curve. Come on. I put this new radio in here. It works. Never really did listen to it. Again, all the insulation in here was new. The headboard is kind of starting to sag, but it's staying up so far. So fan works, defroster fan. Controls. The gauges are a little hard to see, but the only one that doesn't work is the hydraulic temperature. That one there, that's the hydraulic temperature gauge, does not work. I never did mess with that sensor. It's probably the sensor. I never did mess with it. This is your auxiliary fan for cooling, parking brake, high-low speed. Don't have any lights. I pulled all the lights out. Don't have a disc saw. Don't have an ether start. Hour meter. I think it's got 14.6 or 14.5, 40 hours on it. I pulled the heater out of the cab. It's just old, and there was places where it was leaking high antifreeze in the cab a little bit. Just trying to get all the dampness out of the cab. This here is what they call a charge relief heater. This helps heat your hydraulic oil if it's real cold outside. If this is on, none of your functions of the machine will work. So keep that in mind. If this actually gets hit, it'll keep the tracks from moving. It'll keep your boom from moving. It's got an override. It won't let you do anything. This unit down here is your stop. This has a 5. You can go around one time and then it'll stop. You cannot do continuous rotation on this machine. Okay. Hey, why don't you guys hop up in here? Hop up in here, stand behind the seat. Hold on, this camera for?
You gonna take that box?
No, I'll just put it down here between my legs.
Alright.
Okay, I've got 2 spare bars in here, I think. Yeah, 2 bars. These are a bag of chains. Then there's a bar on the machine. And then that's for taking your saw off. That's got a special Allen head in it that's cut that you need for the head. If you got to take a certain piece off of the head and replace an O-ring, you need that. Don't lose that. Okay, so I'm going to give this to Braden here, and you're going to just kind of take a video, and I'm going to talk about how to run this head. So, you good, Braden?
Yeah.
Alright, so you gotta shut the door. It's got a safety switch on the door. We gotta turn the computer on. Show the computer here. So we gotta turn the computer on. Give it a second. And yeah, I don't know, can you read that? Can you see that in the camera? I don't know if you can see that. We're getting the glare, aren't we? Oop. Let's do this. Still getting a glare. Wow. Wow. Okay. Anyway, here, hold that back. We'll go drive around. Right now it says I'll scoot this seat forward. Oh no. Just broke this box. Darn it. Alright, it says close head and press enter. So you close the head, enter, and then it says low battery voltage. So you have about a year or two when it starts saying low battery voltage. There's a small battery in here that needs to be replaced, and it basically holds the memory on this computer while you have the machine shut down and the battery disconnected. So you'll want to do that. I do have a spare computer that come with the machine, so you can swap them out if you want to send us off to get replaced or whatever, or you can do it yourself. But okay, so right now we're in slow or turtle mode. I'm just going to drive out here a little bit. Can you see that computer at all any better? Or not? Are you still getting the glare off of it? Still getting the glare off. How about now? Huh? No. Okay. Well, shit. How about now?
Kind of see it.
Okay. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay. Alright. Computer's not showing up real good in the camera. How's the picture on the head? Okay. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to go through my buttons here. Left joystick buttons here. Go around the other side so you can see better.
Okay.
Left joystick. Let's see here. This is your extend-a-boom. So show the extend-a-boom. Alright. Back to the buttons. So this, can you hold it back so you can kind of see the head and the buttons? Alright, so
Can't really see both of them.
alright. So this is your extend-a-boom here on these two on the left. The two on the right, one does your knives, opens and closes your knives. And then the bottom one opens and closes your tracks, or opens your tracks. The trigger on the left joystick, when you press it up, it opens everything up. When you press it down, it closes everything. So that's how you pick logs off the ground. I don't know if we can go down here and pick a log up. They're going down here or not. And we're facing the wrong way going down this hill, facing forward. other things on the left joystick here, the 4 buttons that are blue, that is your cab tilt. So we're all the way back. We can go tilt forward, like if you're going up a hill, or if you're going down a hill backwards, you would tilt. And then you can tilt side to side. These other buttons are all presets that I do not have. These 4 on the top. Alright, let's look at the right joystick. The right joystick, this middle black button right here is up. And then this right joystick also runs your head left and right for turning it. This is slow feed on your feed wheels, forward and back. Then the other buttons here is fast forward and fast back. These 2 here are fast, these 2 here are slow. This is my preset for pulpwood. So when I would cut the tree, then I would hit this preset and it would automatically stop at about 15 feet. Then you would cut it. This is for a new tree, like if you're grabbing trees off the ground. You would open your head up, you would hit new tree, you know, grab the tree, pick it up, preset, and then you would cut. And these other ones up in the top here, those are all presets that I do not have programmed. The guy that owned it before me, he did have a lot of the presets programmed. I was messing with it, and I probably deleted a lot of them out of there. Fan, the auxiliary cooler. Probably don't need it today because it is cold, but we can kick it into high gear. So this is now in fast mode. It does go quite a bit faster. It does heat up your oil in your final drive, so you do not want to run it very long in fast mode, and I would say no more than about a half hour. You know, if you're tracking across the field. Yeah, the sun is really low, that's why we're getting a bad glare off of that computer screen. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the machine. We'll talk about that. We'll go out there and talk about that head. Okay, let's get out and talk about the head. Okay, here you go. Okay, so here's the head. This track is tight and good. That one on the other side there could probably be tightened a little bit. It's starting to get a little loose. A lot of these hoses are fairly new. See a little bit of oil in here. That's kind of leaks off of that pump up there, or that turn cylinder, I'm sorry. I rebuilt that turn cylinder, but oil does leak out the top of it, especially if you lay it all the way over. And then I think it actually might be leaking out of that cylinder a little bit. This is your oil for your chains and your, you see there's one for the chain, I don't know which one is which. One's for the chain and one's for your tracks. So one's for your bar and chain, one's for your tracks. Keep them full of bar oil. You probably use, I want to say they each hold about 5 gallons. So depending on how much you cut in a day, you can use, I usually fill them up every other day, I think. Just depends on how much you cut. Up in here, can't really see too much, but there is some little bit of leaking up in there. It's nothing major. Yeah, maybe we ought to go ahead. It's really loose. We need to go ahead and tighten that, Dylan. We'll go ahead and tighten that track. See how loose that is? Yeah, that's way too loose. We'll tighten that track. I wonder if the nut didn't back off. So this sprocket here is a double-sided sprocket. I had this all apart here a while back. I had a breakdown, and I replaced some of the bearings in here, but I turned the sprocket around. It still has plenty of wear on here, so when this side gets real wore out, you can flip it around and keep going. You'll never wear through that, would be my suspicion. So this locks this is an adjustment just like on a chainsaw. That locks it down, and then you tighten those down. So basically unlock that, loosen these up, unscrew that to let your tension out of it, swap chains, and then tighten everything back down. That's a little cylinder there that was rebuilt here not too long ago. This in here, you see it looks real oily in there. That's your bar oil dripping down. Can you pull that bar down? And you can see we're getting a good amount of oil on the bar, which is good. Go ahead and let's pull that down.
You want me to pull it?
Yeah, if you got gloves on especially.
I don't bring gloves.
Okay. All the hoses in this head are pretty well new. I went through and rebuilt that thing here. I say rebuilt it. I replaced a bunch of the hoses and bolts and nuts and different things that have been a lot of little stuff that needed to be done. Come on. There's a new pin in this knife cylinder. You just got to check these, make sure they're tight every now and then. There's one right in there, and we got this fixed up. This used to be hitting that and different things, but that pin used to be too long is what it was amounting to. Whoever put that pin in here before me had it too long, and it would hit that head, knock that bolt out. And anyway, long story short, $300 pin for that knife. So you get it down. That's good. That's plenty. Okay. All right. Here's all that is a airline 1/4 inch. I think it's 1/4 inch airline, just like you would find on a semi truck. That's the best thing to put air. I've tried hydraulic hoses. I've tried a number of things. That's the cheapest thing, easiest to replace, quickest to replace. Okay. All right. So all of these wires in here are new, and they go over to a box where the wire comes down to from the head. So all that wiring is new into that box, and then there's a 6-wire I think they call it a CAN bus cable that goes up one of those hoses and all the way back to the head. Those hoses, hydraulic hoses on that, are all brand new, all the way from the head to the boom, I believe. Go in there and turn that on and pick the head up so we can fix this track. We'll do that real quick. Braden, we're gonna need to grab some metric wrenches to do that. So, okay. Okay. Go find Turn back on and put it back up. Do not turn that computer off when we do that. Yeah, when you turn the computer off, it lets the yeah, so you got to be careful with these things. When you turn that computer off, it releases all the electrical solenoids on that head, and it just falls over. So he'll stand it up again, and then we'll fix that trap. That's good. All right, don't turn the computer off. All right, you need to go find a wrench to fit this. So when tightening these tracks up, all you got to do is loosen that. Yeah, they're metric. So go grab a pile of metric wrenches. We got to loosen that up and then use those to extend that. And you can see that one, it probably worked its way down. And this one here, you can see that it's about halfway up. So we'll tighten that up. And that should be about it. All the grease fittings take grease on here. Anything else you can think of?
Talk about the air conditioning.
Oh yeah, it's got heat and air in it. There's two valves, one on this side of the engine and one on this side of the engine to open the heat up into the cab. And then we did go through and redo the air conditioning this summer because it wasn't really doing what it's supposed to, and I think we got that fixed. It did work this summer. So we basically had to replace the dryer and all new Freon and everything in it. So all right, I'm gonna turn this off. I think that's all I can think to tell you. I think it's, as far as I know, everything's really good to go on it. I think it'll be a good machine.